Aloha, my name is Julie Mitchell, and I'm the Executive Director for ikahi Mediation Center. And I'd like to welcome all of you to our Finding Solutions Growing Peace Brown Bag Lunch series. Ikahi is a nonprofit community mediation center serving East Hawaii, and we were founded in 1983, so going on 39 years now. We started out as a program of the Island of Hawaii YMCA, and in 2006, we became our own independent nonprofit organization. We empower people to come together, to talk and to listen, to explore options and to find their own best solutions. And to achieve this mission, we offer mediation, facilitation, and trainings like this one to strengthen the ability of diverse individuals and groups to resolve interpersonal conflicts and community issues. And our Brown Bag Lunch series is held every third Thursday at 12 noon on Zoom, and just register on Eventbrite each time to receive the Zoom link. At the end of our talk today, we're going to ask you to fill out a short online survey, which helps with our grant funding for this free series. And when I put this survey link in the chat, just click into that and there'll just be a few questions and you can give us your thoughts. I'll also send out an email later with the slides and the video link, and also a link to that survey. I've heard for some people that they have a hard time clicking into it on the chat. But if you can do it right away, we'd appreciate it so we can get your thoughts. If for some reason you're not certain we have your email, you can also put it in the chat box and I can get you information that way. So if you like today's talk, do feel free to register for more in the future. Our next speaker is going to be May 19th. That is Jo Hittner. She's on the screen with Les. And her topic will be empathy, the path to understanding. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to register right in the chat right now. So if you want to do that, I'm putting that in the chat. So you can click into that and register for our next event. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our topic and our speaker. So today's topic is called Show Up Powerfully, Access Your Innate Abilities and Knowledge. And this presentation will be given by Sylvia Dolena. She holds an MBA and an MS. She's worked for Hewlett-Packard for 18 years as a global programs and operations manager and as a strategic change project manager. She has worked as an external business consultant with HP and other high-tech companies and retail companies like AMD and Best Buy. Currently, we're lucky enough to have Sylvia living here with us in Pune. She is working as a project manager for Fortune 100 companies leadership certification program, and she delivers workshops here in Hawaii and also nationally. So I'm going to share my screen for Sylvia's PowerPoint, and we are ready to hear from you. Sylvia.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. And I'm happy to see all of you here. Our agenda today is to really make 3 points. One is that no matter what, you can do this. You can show up powerfully. Number 2, we need to talk about also what stops you. And then number 3, what mechanisms can you use to access everything you know, all of who you are for each situation that you need to handle. And we've got some topics like identify your conditioning, what you must overcome to have it all, which are fears, doubts, limiting beliefs. And we're going to also talk about your dream. What's your motivator? What pulls you forward? What gets you up in the morning to be the best you? And also through this process, it's a discovery of what you bring to the world. What are your talents? What are your skills? What are your experiences to show up powerfully each and every time? So we're going to get started. It's a lot of information, but I want to get through all of this and give you as much value as possible in this 1 hour that we have. And then at the end, we'll take some questions, and then we'll share with you also how you can get more information. All right. So let's get started with the next slide. And why is this important? It's very important no matter what goal you have, what interest you have, what cause you have, what relations you want to build. This showing up powerfully is very important, because if you show up with self-confidence, fully confident, you ignite trust in others. And building that trust, then people have more confidence in you, and you have more influence to achieve your goal, your cause, your better lifestyle, your advancement, whatever that is. So it's all based in you showing up with a lot of confidence. And we're going to talk a lot about how you do that. Next slide. So showing up powerfully, who are you? You're a biological human being. You've got energy, you're intelligent, you're sentient. But who are you not? Sometimes we do show up with our conditioning, our baggage, our behaviors, our labels, our habits, and our judgment. But that's not who we really are. Next slide. Next, yes. Okay, when we show up powerfully, we really need to be able to identify our conditioning and get rid of it. Throughout our lives, we receive messages that conditions us into something who we are not. But now we have a mechanism to identify them and to throw them out. And like for men and boys, it's like, grow up. You know, big boys don't cry. You know, it's all about performance. You know, don't be a sissy. Tough it out, that kind of thing. And girls get messages like, well, if you did your hair this way, or if you were, you know, prettier, or maybe you're too short, or maybe you're too fat, or whatever. But we get these conditionings that go into our subconscious. Okay, next slide. This is my conditioning pie. And there's lots of different things that condition us. And I just put them all together here. I'm just going to just run through and just tell you what they are. We're not going to go into a deep discussion about these, but just so you're aware. I mean, you get conditioned from your generation. Are you part of the World War II generation, baby boomer generation, the Gen X, the millennials, the iGen, the Gen Z? You know, there's so many different generations that define us. Whether we like it or not, we get defined by that. Also, our religion, our beliefs, myths give us messages of who we are and why we're here. Professional classification, you know, what's your profession? And within that profession, are you a manager? Are you an hourly worker? Are you an engineer who analyzes? Anyway, your profession has identified you in a certain way. The next one is national culture. Now there's lots of cultures within our own American culture. However, there's also a subculture. So you not only belong to a national culture, but an ethnic subculture. I'm Native American and I identify with that. And there's certain things about that influence my thoughts, my filters, my behaviors, and all of that, identifying with that subculture. Also, our society and our community and the media helps define us. You know, the social norms. What are the social norms that you have to adhere to? What is it that doesn't align with you, but society says, yes, you have to do this, or you have to be this way, or you have to think this way? And there's, in the media, a big, they call it the cancel culture. So if you do something that's not politically correct, guess what? You get canceled out. People don't talk to you anymore, and you're labeled as canceled. A big influencer also is your family of origin and your extended family, because they set up your values. They tell you who you are, how you think, how you behave, what is appropriate and not appropriate. And a big part of that also is going to school. Your peers, your educational level has some identifying factors for you too. Your work and business culture. You know, what's the norm for your business or your job or your career, and how does that, where you work, define you? Civilization, the whole civilization. You know, through COVID, I mean, we learned so much about our entire civilization, the world population, and what people thought, and sometimes how divisive it was. And how did we identify with that? We have to look at how we identify. Politics. the great divide. That is another one of how we identify. Are we independent? Are we the Green Party? Are we, Republicans? All of that, however we identify with, also influences our conditioning and how we show up. Okay, thank you. Next slide. There's 3 universal messages that we all have to some degree. I just want to call them out just so we're aware. The first one is scarcity. It's whatever it is you want, there isn't enough to go around. So if you're not in the part that gets it, then you're not going to get it. So scarcity is, there's not enough food, there's not enough money, there's not enough of whatever. Also, inadequacy and self-worth. You're not good enough. What's your value? We all have some of that in some way, shape, or form. And then also trust or faith, really the lack of, we have maybe a limiting belief that it won't ever happen for us. We can't trust that it will happen for us. So those are 3 universal conditioning messages that most of us have to some degree. So just think about, do you have any of these messages in your identity? And if you do, maybe you want to jot down a note to explore that for yourself later. Okay, thank you. Next slide. Now, you can change, and only you can change your lifetime of conditioning. Your conditioning, like for me, I was short and chubby, and I was too fat, and it wasn't that I wasn't smart. It was that I didn't talk much. So people thought, well, she's kind of weird, that kind of thing. And so I had a lot of those conditioning messages in my subconscious. But the first step is to identify what you believe, especially what you believe about yourself and why. I mean, where did that come from? We're all born with a clean slate. Why do we believe in this way, especially about ourselves? Next. So here's one that is about me and my dad. The belief is money doesn't grow on trees. And where did I get that? From my dad. He was a hardworking guy, and he kept saying, money doesn't grow on trees. Or every time we didn't have money for something, he was, it doesn't grow on trees, And I remember the earliest recollection of that was when I was 5 years old. And then I thought, okay, it must be true, because I never saw a money tree. I never saw it growing. And so I thought, well, money must be hard to get, and only rich people have money trees. So I guess we don't have any money because we don't have a money tree. And that belief, even though as an adult, I know it's not true, but somewhere in my subconscious, there's that little thing, well, money doesn't grow on trees. You may not have enough for this or that. It's part of that scarcity mentality. Not enough for everyone, especially me. So as an adult, I can look back on this and say, okay, why did I believe this? Well, I believed it because I heard it repetitively and because my dad said it. But now as an adult, I can say, okay, really, there are no money trees, but I can put strategies in place to make money and to do what I need to do to create the abundance that I want and the abundance that I deserve. So we need to look back on some of those beliefs. How did we get there? How did we get there? And as an adult, how can we look back on that and reframe it for ourselves so that then we create a new belief? And my new belief is, I know I can create whatever it is that I need for me and my family, my lifestyle, whatever that is, because it's up to me. Next. All right. So there are other things that also stop us from showing up powerfully. And there's fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs. And these are the obstacles to your success and influence how you show up. And we're just going to briefly go through each one of these just so you know how they show up. Next. Okay, so fear is a biological response, and it's to a perceived threat. And in ancient times, it was a physical threat. Am I going to get killed by this saber-toothed tiger or something like that. But today, the threat is typically a social threat or an emotional threat, yet we have that same kind of reaction because that fearful stimuli tells our amygdala, which is the reptilian brain, right in the brainstem, it releases adrenaline for the sole purpose to, give us energy to react quickly, to do the fight, flight, freeze, appease response. Next. So here's how it shows up. You either size somebody up and say, oh yeah, I'll fight, I can take this on, or no, I'm getting out of here, I'm out. Or you freeze and you do nothing and you just hope it goes away, or you appease and say, okay, whatever you say, just don't hurt me. So these are our typical responses, and they happen subconsciously. They happen with that feeling that comes up in us that says, okay, I want to do one of these four things. So we have to be aware that that's what happens, even with a social threat of someone just yelling at you, especially on Facebook. Okay, next. Doubts are feelings of uncertainty. So it's a lack of conviction or a lack of confidence. And limiting beliefs are beliefs that something that you hold as true. You truly believe that's true, but it keeps you from renewing yourself or growing or exploring or taking risks. And now we need to look at those and dump them where they belong, in the trash bin. Next. Okay, just a few things about doubts. Doubts are the way we sabotage our dreams. By projecting our fears and doubts into the future, into our dreams, we're stopping ourselves. We're sabotaging ourselves without even knowing it. We'll create the worst possible scenarios and believe them. Okay, so, well, what if that happens? Yes, I think that'll probably happen. Or, if this happens, then, then what? So the signs of the doubter are procrastination. Oh, okay, I'll do it later. Or confusion. I don't know what to do. Or fear. All right, one of the fight, freeze, and appease responses are coming up in me. And sometimes the doubter voice will come up as the protector. And it's like, no, you need to stay safe, because if you do this, you may get hurt, or you may lose all your money, or, you may look like a fool. So maybe don't do it. Or it can show up as an obligation. And this is what I've heard from many of my clients is, well, I have children and a family, and it's too risky. And, that's valid. It's a valid. If it is an obligation, you have to calculate your risk and see, if you do this, how will it impact my family? Yes. But if you're using it as an excuse not to do something, that's when then it becomes a serious doubt, because it will stop you. Your inner critic, your voice of cynicism or sarcasm, will stop you. Next. Oh, okay. We're not covering this one. Sorry. Didn't mean to put that one in there. Okay. So when we're in doubt, you really want to calculate the situation, and you want to then take actions. If you're serious about your dream, about your goal, about your vision, about what you need to accomplish, whatever that is, you need to take action on it, even if it is a small step. Even if it's a small step, take a small step and then see where you are and see what happens. Then take the next step and see where you are and see what happens. But not taking any step at all will stop you and freeze you, and it will kill your dream, your goal, whatever it is that's important to you, your cause. But if you deal with your own doubts, it's an opportunity to deepen your commitment to yourself, to your dream, to your goal, to your cause. And you want to do that. Next. Limiting beliefs. Okay, this is what holds you back from making different choices in your life, because you don't see the options. With a limiting belief, you can't see the different opportunities that come up for you every day. because you don't believe it. You don't believe it's possible. So it's not an opportunity for you. Your brain will filter those out. And it also stops you from seeing your own gifts because you have this limiting belief of who you are. If you got rid of that belief, you would really see who you are as this talented being that has skills, experience, lots of gifts to give to the world. And limiting beliefs will keep you stuck focusing on the negative of your situation or whatever, rather than seeing the positive and the opportunities. Next. So it's really important to examine your beliefs. You hold this as true. So belief is never neutral. It's either you believe it or you don't believe it. It's hardly like, okay, I believe it some of the time and then I don't believe it other times. It's usually never neutral. It's one or the other. You need to really examine any belief that you think is holding you back. So any setback or disappointment can leave a negative residue, a result. And we hang on to those negative beliefs because there's some kind of payoff. So what I mean by payoff is that if I believe something negative and I feel that it's beneficial to me because it's keeping me safe or it's keeping me in my comfort zone, then there's a payoff. I'm in my comfort zone and I feel okay. So that's a negative payoff that's I'm accepting, and I'm accepting that. And your voice, your inner critic, will reinforce that negative belief. And having limiting beliefs will stop your dream. You won't take that risk. You won't take that opportunity. And it can show up very subtle back in your subconscious, or it can show up right in your face. And whenever it shows up, it's up to you as to how you handle it. We're going to talk about how to do that when we talk about how you show up powerfully. Okay, next. So the question is, what is your commitment to yourself? Marsha Weeder's one of my teachers. She was called the Dream Coach. She was on Oprah. She has lots of really great material. And her question is, when you put your fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs in the appropriate place as part of your reality right now, it really frees you up to take action on your dream, on your future, creating what you really want for your cause, for your lifestyle, for your abundance, for your retirement, whatever that is. So the question is, are you more committed to your dream or to staying into your reality? And the evidence lies in whether you are in action, if you take steps towards your dream. That's the only proof there is. Next. Okay, success versus failure. And it's all in your perception. When something doesn't go well, do you relive it in your mind over and over again? Or I should have done this, or why did that happen? Or, oh my God, that was terrible. It was embarrassing. Do you relive it? If you do, you're reinforcing it in your mind, right? So if you reframed it, do you consider your mistakes as failures or lessons? I was considering mine as failures for a long time. And then I thought, oh, well, I learned this about that, or I learned that. Every failure I have, every mistake, I look at what is the lesson here? What did I learn? And now how can I use that in the future? So do you ever relive your successes in your mind over and over again? Most of the time we will relive the negative parts, but the successes, if not, why? Every time you have a success, see what it was that you did. See what it was that you felt. We're going to talk about this more because this part is really, really important. And how do you consider your successes? Do you consider it, oh yes, if this is typical, I will have success after success, or do you view it as, okay, I was lucky that time? No. Whatever happens to you, whatever success you create, it's from you. Next. Tom Peters, who is an author, and he was big on looking at all different companies. He wrote a lot of books about Hewlett Packard, and he always said, fail forward faster. And Ray Strada, who's another big guru, said the only competitive advantage corporations, companies, businesses will have in the future is how fast they can learn and adjust. And it's all about learning and adjusting and failing forward faster. Next. So beliefs can change. You just have to look at them and decide. It's a choice. It really, really is a choice. It sounds simple, and maybe it's easy, maybe it's not easy. But what you believe is a choice. Next. And it's a process too. You can start out with, well, I won't do it. I can't do it. I want to do it. How do I do it? Well, I'll try to do it. Like Yoda says, no try, do. I can do it. I will do it. And I will do it again. And I will do it again. And I will do it again. Until you reach success. Next. So showing up powerfully is that once you handle your conditioning, your fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs, you can focus on what you really want. So what is your dream? What's your motivator? What you bring to the world is your stack. And we're going to talk about that because that's important too. And also mechanisms to show up powerfully, and just a little bit on super development. So that's the next part of the talk. We've already talked about the fears, doubts, limiting beliefs. Now we're going to talk about what your dream is. Okay, next. We all need a motivator. And my dream, I was in Texas. When I was in high school, I had a really high grade point average because I felt like, well, okay, if I'm going to be somebody, I really have to study hard because there's no other way I can do it. You know, this brown Native American girl in Texas. When I went to my counselor at high school, I had a really good grade point average. And I said, how do I sign up for a scholarship? And she just looked at me and said, oh, honey, the scholarships are for boys. And I thought, okay, all right. So at 18, I left home. I left Texas, I moved to California, and I started my life there all alone, $9 in my pocket, because I thought the other alternative of staying in Texas was not going to help at all. So I was forced into defining my dream. I didn't define it for a long time, but I really had to get there in order to pull me forward. And when you have a dream, you know, it's really your aspirations, your desires, your goals for yourself, your family, and your future. So what does that look like? You know, what do your relationships look like? What do your associates look like? Who will they be? How successful will you be in whatever it is you choose to do? So it's the ideal state, the picture perfect view of what you want for your future. And we all have a dream. It may be hidden. You know, maybe we need to pull it out and dust it off, but we need a motivator to pull us forward to make us then show up powerfully. Okay, next. So just a few things about dreams is that dreams come from your imagination. It's the desire of what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. And really, we all have our dreams. We were here to fulfill our dreams. And it's seated in our purpose. Why are you here? What is your belief about why you're here on the planet? You know, I had a hard time with what my purpose, and I'll just share it with you, is when I went through with Marsha Weeder's workshop and Tim Kelly on True Purpose, I discovered what my purpose was. And my purpose was to be a catalyst for change, first for myself and then for others. And I said, oh no, hell no, that's not what I want to do. Me, I have to change everything. I have to transform, and then I have to help others do it. No, I refused to believe it for a long time. And I thought, you know, I'm doing it every day, whether I like it or not. So I may as well just embrace it and just go for it. And no dream is too big or too small. And if you're passionate about it, it's important. And that's why you're here. It's that niggly little thing in the back of your mind, like, you have to do this, or you have to do that. Or when something comes up, you have a feeling about it. And that's how you know. That's how you know. And it's different from fantasies or really, a big imagination, although that helps. But I'm saying your dream is your passion, and it's from your soul. And we pay attention to it. Next. Everyone's dream is meant to be fulfilled. For a long time, I didn't believe that. I truly believe it now. I really do. And if we believe it, we can do it. Because Walt Disney said so. So we can. Okay, next. And 80% of success in life is just showing up. If we just show up, guess what? Things will start happening. We'll start learning. We'll start getting feedback, and then we can better ourselves. But if we don't show up, we stay back, we say, oh no, I'm not going out today, or no, I don't want to do that. No, but if we show up, we're already successful. Next. So what does it mean to show up powerfully? So what if for every situation you encounter, you could be confident and present and respond in the most effective way? What if you could quickly bring all of the elements within you, all of your experiences, your knowledge, and all of that together to handle any situation? And each and every time, it was the most appropriate you who shows up. What if? So I know I've said many times when I was in a conversation or when I was doing a presentation like this, I said, oh my gosh, I wish I had thought of that, or I wish I had said that, or I forgot this, or but you already have all the skills and capabilities and intelligence, experience, capacities, mindsets to handle any situation. We have it. But what happens is, when that fear and doubt comes in, sometimes we don't have a quick way or a systematic way to bring all of that together in the moment because we're in fear, doubt, or a limiting belief. And that just stops our brain function from bringing it cohesively together. Next. So to show up powerfully, and we're going to go through some of these in a few minutes. We won't be able to go through all of them, but we will identify and inventory your stack, which are your skills, talents, abilities, competencies, and knowledge as your elements of expertise. We will then, I'll show you a method to combine and apply your stack to a typical and emergent situation. And then what we need to do is also develop the ability to deeply listen and evaluate every situation accurately. And it's not just listen, it's to observe. And one of my mentors, I was going through a coaching course, and he said something that I thought was absolutely brilliant. He said, the value of a coach is the quality of their observation and ability to listen so that then they can present a new worldview, a new paradigm to their client that will inspire them to take a different direction or make a different decision. So by being a coach, we have to be fully observant, we have to listen, but we all have to do that for every situation. Walk into a room, take a pulse of what's going on in the room, feel the energy of the room. We have to be able to do that. And anyone can do it. Sometimes we just don't pay attention to it. We have the ability to create in the moment the appropriate mindset for the situation and step into it. We have that ability. We need to expand our mindsets beyond our experience. So how do you do that? How do you expand your mindset? You have to look beyond your experience and look at maybe other people's experiences, or look at what's out there beyond what you know and see what the possibilities are. And we have to identify and leverage your winning edge formula. Everyone has a winning edge formula as to what works for you. What works for me is when I show up, I take a deep breath, I take a pulse of the room or the situation, I take it in, and then I create whatever it is I need to create to step into that situation. But for me, it's a pause. It's a freeze frame. I have to pause and assess it, very quickly in my mind and in my consciousness. Okay, next. Confidence. Self-confidence is a trait that successful people often have. And when you look at people that are successful, what people say about successful leaders, they say the two most important characteristics of a leader is integrity and confidence. Because integrity, people will trust you. Confidence, people will also trust you, and they'll trust your ability to do what you say you're going to do. And then they will follow you. They will help you. They will support you. So integrity and self-confidence are critically important. And yes, we can be in integrity, we can be honest, but many times we don't have that self-confidence to pull it all together. So to be successful in anything, we have to believe that we're capable. We have to believe that we can do it. And having the self-confidence, that helps us and it allows us, it gives us the permission to go after whatever it is that we want and see it through. Persistence without giving up, because you know you can do it. So I'm going to do it until it's done because I know I can. Maybe I'll have a few stumbling blocks or obstacles, but I know I can do it. Or what I always say, I'm going to do it or I'm going to die trying. Now that's not that positive, but that's what keeps me motivated and say, okay, no, I'm not dying right now, so I'm going to keep trying. Next. Okay, so here's a mechanism. Here's a mechanism to show up powerfully. And the goal of this is to have a way to return to your most resourceful state whenever you want to. So if you're going into a situation, let's say I was going into a job interview and this was like the primo job on the planet and I want it so much, but I'm scared. I don't know if I have all of the qualifications they want. What if they ask me questions that I can't answer? Or what if this, or what if that? So I need to return to a resourceful state. So these are the steps. You think of a time when you were at your very best, whatever that situation was. Maybe it was, the time that you graduated from high school or college, or you were given an award, or someone said, you know what? You are really a beautiful person. And how did that make you feel? You want to step into that state of when you felt or when you were recognized as being your best. So you want to be there now. You want to see, hear, and feel what was going on when you were at your personal best. So you want to notice what's going on. Where's your attention when you're feeling your personal best? Is it on you? Is it on the other person? Is it on the environment? And how would you decide that, how would you describe your state of being? Is it energized? Is it joyful? Is it in gratitude? What is your state? And what's important about this? What's important about that feeling? For me, it was a feeling of self-satisfaction or self-accomplishment, or I felt that I was able to do something for someone or something that made me feel really good inside. And who was I being? Who are you being at the time? We really need to think about, who am I being? Am I being, a humble person? Am I being accepting of whatever that feeling is and saying, yes, I deserve this? Who am I being? And what else do I notice? What else do I notice about the situation? What about the surroundings? Is the sun shining brighter because I feel this way? Are there birds singing in the trees because I feel this way? What is the feeling of your personal best? You want to be able to step into that, feel the feelings, see what you're seeing, take notice of everything, and be there fully. And once you're there fully, feeling that, reliving that, then amp up those feelings. Okay, if I feel joyful, guess what? I'm going to feel 10 times more joyful. If I'm in gratitude, I'm going to feel 10 times more grateful. And then I set my trigger. I said, okay, a keyword or image in my mind for that instant recall. So I'm going to label this how I want to show up for a job interview. And I'll get into that state. I'll feel these feelings, all of that, my personal best that kind of aligns to that. Then I'll walk in and do the interview and nail it, right? So we want to be able to do that, to show up as your personal best, relive the time that you were already that, and you will be that again. Next. All right, now we're going to talk about STACK, what I bring to the world. Skills. Skills are learned expertise, mastery in doing specific tasks, no matter how complex or simple. So that's what skills are. You learn them. Talents. This is expertise you were born with. You do this automatically. People come to you for this. It's your gift to the world. And sometimes you don't even recognize it or know it because you do it so automatically. It's so much a part of you. One of the talents I was born with that I didn't even realize until I became a consultant was that I have the talent to go into a situation, whether it's an organization or a company or a family relationship, and be able to see what's going right and what's going wrong in there. I can just kind of see it all, how it all plays out, as if someone's showing me a picture of this big system and how it all fits together and how it works or doesn't work. And I can typically see that. So that's what I use when I do my consulting, because now I can get paid to do that. So it's a talent that I feel that I was born with, because I don't know how I would have learned it. An ability are things that you know how to do, such as drive a car, cook a meal, climb a tree, or anything like that. Competencies. We're building our competencies all the time, whether we know it or not. So it's the physical or mental power to do something requiring many skills. So like engaging an audience, what skills you use? You use speaking skills, you may use movement skills, you may use different points, you may use intonation in your voice, you may do a lot of things that then you bring together. Martial arts takes a lot of different skills to be a competent martial artist. So that's what I'm talking about, competencies. They're a group of skills that it could include your natural talents or your learned expertise. And knowledge is learned information. It's your education. It's what you learn on the job, in school, or from mentors, or from other people, or whatever that is. So that's what your stack is. Okay, next. Okay, so in addition to your stack, you have lessons and strengths and weaknesses and more lessons, but you also bring a mindset and an identity when you show up. And these are the two things I want to talk about. The mindset is the set of filters or conditioning that you bring when you show up. So when you go into a situation, let's just say the interview situation, I could have gone in with a mindset of, okay, they're going to think that I'm not right for this job. Or I could go in and say, I'm perfect for this job. And if they don't hire me, it's their loss. And I can go in with that kind of an attitude or something in between. But it's a mindset. It's a set of assumptions or perceptions or beliefs or methods that I hold going into that situation. And we want to be very careful of our mindsets, because that will then guide whatever happens in that situation. Now, identity, how I show up with an identity is, how am I showing up physically, mentally, energetically, emotionally? What's my attitude and my presence? What presence do I bring to it? Am I attentive? Am I inattentive? whatever that is. So we're going to go just a little bit more. I'm going to give you examples of this. Okay, next. So showing up powerfully, like when you're speaking to a child or any child, you would have, I would take on a parent identity. If I'm talking to my friend's child or my neighbor's child, and physically, I would have a relaxed body, because if you're all tense and tight, kids can feel that and they'll back off from you. So you want to have a relaxed body. Mentally, I'm going to show up, with a friendly mental state. Energetically, it's going to be gentle and flowing, not, hard and jerky. Emotionally, I'm going to feel compassion, heart-centered, and I'm going to be present in the moment, in that situation with that child. And my mindset would be, all children are wonderful beings, even when they're not. So that's what I mean about when you take on an identity, how is it that you're showing up? Okay, next. So part of the exercise, we're not going to have time to do an exercise today, but part of an exercise is to set up the scenarios that you need to respond to. You can set up a scenario saying, okay, meeting with my boss scenario, or speaking in front of an audience, or presenting a proposal, or going to a job interview. And then you can create your my stack for any situation so that you can call in the appropriate identity and the appropriate stack for that particular situation. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Next. So, okay. The situation is meeting with my boss. And I have a certain boss in mind. And the boss is intimidating, and he's confrontational, and he's very demanding. But my mindset is, no matter what, this is going to be a good meeting. And my identity is going to be warrior woman. My skills, I'm going to have organizing skills. I'm going to have organized facts. I'm going to be observant. I'm going to be factual with this boss. And my talent that I bring in would be reading his body language, mirroring body language, putting him at ease, making him comfortable with the situation. Because who knows? Maybe he's tense. Maybe he has lots of stress. I don't know what's going on with him. And my ability to stay calm and cool, unemotional, no matter what he says, I'm not going to react to it, and I'm going to be confident. My competency that I'm going to bring to this is I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be inquiring and asking questions. I'm going to be responsive. I'm going to be having clear and direct communication. And the knowledge that I'm going to bring to this meeting is the current business status, because that's what he wants to know about. Okay, next. And here's another situation that's an example. Is the situation is coaching an employee. Now, the employee that you're coaching has family issues and has been underperforming and has been very distracted. So mindset. Now, I could come in with the mindset to either support him or reprimand him, right? So what mindset would I choose? I would choose to support an employee's current situation and find out what's going on with that person and why this person is underperforming. My identity would be more like a grandparent or a parent or a mentor versus an authoritative boss. My skills would be factual and observant and gentle. Okay, I've observed recently that you're coming in late every day, so I just really want to understand what's going on. Talent, reading the body language, understanding that person's essential purpose. What is it that's motivating this person for that person's performance? And the ability to be empathetic and compassionate. And the competency I would bring is listening, communications, inquiry, guidance. And knowledge, I would bring the knowledge of working with people who have emotional issues, knowledge of coaching modalities to then see how we can get this person from the state that they're in to a better state where they can then better perform. So that's just an example of how you can create your my stack to bring to any situation a powerful way of being and showing up powerfully just by going through and setting up in advance your mindset, your identity, your skills, talents, abilities, competencies, and knowledge. Okay, next. Your winning edge formula. Okay, this is my winning edge formula, and you can set up yours any way you like. So for a known situation, as I mentioned before, I take a deep breath, I call in my mindset and my identity for the situation, like I did for meeting with my boss. And then I feel the energy when I walk into a room. I feel the energy, I scan the environment, and I notice, body language, I notice positioning, all of that. And then I align with the appropriate stack that I'm going to bring to the situation. Is this a friendly situation? Is this an adverse situation? What skills, talents, capabilities, abilities, and knowledge do I need to bring to this? And then I proceed with confidence. If it's an unknown situation, I pretty much do the same thing. However, what I do is once I take a deep breath, feel the energy, scan the environment, and notice the body language and call in my mindset, I evaluate. I take another few minutes or a few seconds to then align to the appropriate stack because the situation is unknown. So I give myself a little bit more time to assess the situation before then I proceed with confidence. So what we've covered so far is we've covered what stops you. So the conditioning, fears, doubts, limiting beliefs really stops you. And when you look at it, bottom line, you are the only one who stops you because you have a choice. Now, when you want to show up powerfully, you really need to look at how you are showing up. Examine that. See what situation you need to show up in. What's your repetitive situations? And create your mindset and your identity that fit that situation. Then your skills, talents, abilities, competencies, and knowledge that you will bring to that situation so that it's appropriate and you show up very powerfully for every situation, and you define the situation beforehand. So you have these little formulas that you can say, okay, this is my interview winning edge formula. This is my coaching formula. This is my, whatever it is, my irate boss formula. So I will have all of those in advance so I can recall them quickly and not have to stammer and stutter and be in fear and say, oh gosh, I wish I had said that. No, I would have thought about it in advance. And the more you do this, the more it becomes part of you, you will do it automatically. You won't have to go through this because your mind will create that for you and have you show up as the best possible you for that situation. So through this process, who are you becoming? The very best you that you can be. Next. So I just want to thank you all. And I just want also to let you know that with ikahi, and thank you, Julie, we are going to be offering a series of 8 workshops. And the 8 workshops over the rest of the year will be workshops similar to this. This will be one of the workshops to show up powerfully, the workshop, so we can go deeper into it. But the workshops will be about personal development, professional development, career development. It will take in a wide variety. If you want to start your own business, there's a workshop for conscious commerce. How do you do this in the best way for yourself, your family, and the planet? So we have a variety of workshops that we're going to be able to show you, to present to you, and hope that you will be interested in some of them and want to attend. And I thank you very much for being here today. And Julie, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sylvia. That was fabulous. So can we give her the virtual, the virtual round of applause, the Zoom icons and reactions and whatnot. It's so interesting being a presenter on Zoom, as many of us has found out. It's like you're on a movie set or something. So I really appreciate what you shared, Sylvia. We are working on getting the workshop series set and publicized. We are in an interesting time right now between Zoom and meeting in person. So we would very much like to do this series in person, which is also a challenge right now, since venues that we normally use are not available anymore. So if you know for a wonderful workshop venue that we could use, I'm still in the process of trying to secure space where we could hold this series with Sylvia. That is being funded by the Atherton Family Foundation, gave us a grant to do this. So as I mentioned, we do want your feedback on today's talk. I'm putting in the chat that link. If you could click into that, and please do fill out this very brief survey. It helps us with our grant funding for this free series. I will be emailing the slides and video link within the next few days. And I want to thank everyone for coming today. I really want to thank our speaker, Sylvia, who's fabulous. If you've seen her before, she's a great teacher. We're very excited to do the upcoming series of workshops with her. And please do sign up for our upcoming workshop with Joe Hittner. I'm going to put that link also in the chat again on empathy, the path to understanding, which is going to be our May 19th topic. I want to thank all of you for coming today and spending your lunch hour with us. We appreciate your participation and hope to see you next month. Ahui ho.
Bye. Thank you.